So this video is going to go over why having a fast and easy sales process is so important and will actually gain you more sales. So having a smooth and easy sales process is one of the most underrated ways that you can immediately generate more money without changing anything else. If you have an easy way to do business in terms of securing payment, make that fast and easy, you will get more sales simply because of that without changing anything else. So it's really important. It's especially important when you're selling flatbeds, and I'm going to explain why. 80% of your flatbed customers are going to be business owners. That it could be slightly more, slightly less, but that's about what it's going to be. We got a lot of data on that. In most cases, and as a general rule, business owners are generally short on time and long on money. What that means is that things that lessen the amount of time and effort they have to do to get something done is valuable to them. So if you have a quick sales process where they don't have to jump through 17 hoops to get an order placed, it's just really quick, fast, and dirty, and they can get it done within the next 3 minutes, you are going to get sales because of that reason, because business owners don't like to hassle around with stuff. They like to have things out of their head and decisions made so they can move on to the next thing with your day. So you just having a quick sales process is a tremendous amount of value for that reason. So I'll kind of give you our sales process. We've tried to make this as quick and simple as we possibly can. If you have a quicker sales process than this, reach out to us and tell us. We want to know. Likely your sales process is going to be longer and more complicated. So your goal here is to shorten the amount of steps and make it quicker and easier for the customer. So when the customer is ready to close, I'll run you through the process. We take 50% as a deposit and the remaining 50% after the order is done and installed. So when somebody's ready to close, this is likely going to be on the second, third, fourth, fifth call with somebody. You've talked to them, you've followed up, they got all their questions answered, they feel good, they're ready to close. Announce the sales process is happening. That's step one. So here's an example and say, all right, Jim, well, process from here is pretty simple. We take 50% up front to secure the order. The remaining 50% will be due after the bed is done and installed. What I'll do for you here is I'm going to write up an invoice. That'll take me about 1 minute. You can just hang with me on the phone. I'll go through the invoice for you. We can just put your payment in via credit card. The order will be placed, and then the second 50% isn't going to be due until it's installed. Step two is you need to be able to create an itemized invoice on the fly with them on the phone in less than 2 minutes. Ideally less than 1 minute. And so you basically would create an invoice, ideally while you're talking with them, and it doesn't even seem like you're doing anything in the background, but realistically, as you're seeing them getting closer to closing in the conversation, you're already drawing up this invoice. So when they are ready to close, ideally it's already done, or you might have already sent it to them on a previous call. That's another great option. Once the invoice is created, go through the items line by line, and then you would let them know that 50% of that is due to place the order. So example, all right, Jim, so I got you down for a single rear wheel base model, a step fender kit, and also underside toolboxes. The total is going to be $7,800. Your first 50% is going to be half of that, which would be $3,800. So I'll take your credit card info. If you're ready for that, I am ready as well. And once this goes through, I'll send you a receipt and then your order will be placed. They give you the credit card info. Very important that you don't send the invoice to them and hang up and wait for them to pay it, because the amount of deals that you'll lose is pretty astronomical. It's way more than you would think. When you think somebody's on the hook and they're good to go, and you send them the invoice, they tell you they're going to pay it, and then they never do. That happens more often than I care to admit, especially for us in the beginning when we didn't know any better. So very important that you keep them on the phone all the way through until the money's received. You don't want to break up it into multiple calls. That's just another opportunity for their wife to say, what are you doing? You can't do that. They think about it. They get cold feet. That happens more often than you think. You take their credit card info, you put it in the invoice you just made, you put the payment through. Once the payment goes through, you send the customer a receipt, and I'll go over how to do all that tactically after this. And then step 6 is you would thank them for the order, and then you would tell them what they should expect in terms of lead time and communication from you as the bill goes on. So for example, we would close the call with, all right, Jim, we got your payment. Thank you very much for the business. We appreciate it. So what it's going to look like from here is we'll put your order in the book. We're probably going to start on it in about a month to 5 weeks from now. Right before we start the bed, somebody from the shop who's building it is going to give you a call, go through the order, make sure everything is correct in terms of your add-ons, your model, all that kind of thing. If you want to add anything between now and then, we're happy to do that for you. We'll just add that to the second invoice. Once we build it, we'll give you a call when we take it to powder coat, and then we'll set up an install date based on the lead time of powder coat. Expect to hear from us then. And they say, great. And then you're like, is there anything else I can help you with? No. Awesome. Thanks again. In the call. Tactically speaking, I talked a lot about creating an invoice on the fly. If you don't know how to do that, I'm going to go through that now. So if you're looking for an invoicing software, if you don't already have one where you have the ability to create an invoice quickly and on the fly, use a Stripe.com account. Stripe is a credit card processing company, so it'll do two things at once. You'll have a way to process credit card payments is the first thing. And secondly, you'll be able to create itemized invoices that are payable via credit card. It's a free account. They just charge you the 3% fee. That's how they make your money. But you can make invoices, take credit card payments, send receipts, issue refunds, everything from a very simple dashboard. So I'd recommend you do that if you don't have a way that you already invoice people. If the way that you invoice now is super slow and a lot of hoops to jump through, I'd recommend you get rid of that and get something like Stripe that's a lot more streamlined. One other thing is you want this process to be extremely smooth. You want it to feel like you've done it a million times to the customer. And obviously the best way to do that is to actually do it a million times like we have. But if you haven't done it a lot of times, you should dry run practice with yourself before you actually get on the phone with a customer who's ready to close. Because if you get on the phone with them and they're ready to close and then you're fumbling around like a moron and you don't know how to make an invoice or how to take their payment or how to do any of that, what's going on in their head is, wow, this guy's incompetent. He's probably never done this before. I'm probably his first order. He's probably going to screw it up, and I don't really want to buy from him. And that's what's going to go through their head. You won't want that going through their head. What you want is them saying, this is like the fastest and easiest thing I've bought in the last 3 years. Like, I'm so impressed with how easy this is. The communication, everything's clear, professional, secure. They sent me a receipt immediately after. That is all very impressive. Makes me feel like I'm doing business with a professional company. Keep that in mind. If you're not great at it, just practice it by yourself. Pretend there's a customer on the other end of the phone. Make an invoice, take the payment, just make the invoice for $1 or whatever and charge yourself. Just make sure you can run through the whole process smoothly so when you're actually in game time with a customer, boom, you're ready to go, ready to close the deal. So last thing I'll touch on is I know some of you are probably going to push back on taking credit card because of the 3% fee and all of that. And I sympathize with that position. I used to be in that camp when we first started the business. I never took credit card because I didn't want to pay a 3% fee. Now, having done this for a while, I am 100% convinced that the increased sales volume you'll generate from credit cards and your ability to just take them is going to far outweigh by a multiple of about 50 the amount of money you'll lose from the 3%. I think your order volume is going to go up 20 to 30% just because you take credit card, because it makes it fast and easy for them to pay over the phone. If somebody tells you they're going to mail you a check, 50% of the time that's never going to happen. That's just their way of getting out of the deal. But if you're able to close their deal on the phone right now, you're going to get a lot of those customers on the fringe that might get cold feet later. So there's, several $1,000s on the table right now that you would have lost have you not been taking credit card. That's my take on credit card after doing this. We have a separate video about taking credit cards, why it's a great idea. If you want to watch that, just on the YouTube channel. If you don't have a way to create invoices, get a Stripe account. But again, if you remember nothing from this video, just remember smooth, fast, and easy. That's what your sales process needs to be. And the more smooth, fast, and easy it is, the more sales you will make.